Chapter 2 Hounds of the Night. The first rabid robin didn't scream when it lunged. It chirped. It was a high, distorted sound that mimicked a bird of prey, but the throat that produced it was raw and scarred by Joker toxin. It hit the nomad with the force of a wrecking ball, his small, pale fingers, tipped with sharpened surgical steel, clawing for the seals on his respirator. The nomad didn't hesitate. He couldn't afford the luxury of grief for the child the thing used to be. He pivoted, his Scorpio rising instincts taking over, and drove the hilt of the healing blade into the creature's sternum. Crack! The creature fell back, twitching, its chain rattling against the cold concrete. It wore a tattered red vest and a spiked dog collar that jingled with a sickening, festive irony. Its skin was the color of a drowned man, and its eyes were hidden behind a miniature version of the Shadow's spiked visor. Crow, the creature rasped, blood bubbling in its grin. Bar. Betos. Eats. The stars. The nomad didn't wait for it to recover. He stepped over the twitching form and moved into the hallway. He could hear more of them now. A chorus of jingling bells and frantic, low-to-the-ground shuffling. They were coming from the vents, the ceiling tiles, the shadows of the lockers. He checked his wrist. Heart rate, 98 BPM. Too high. The banner within was starting to stir, the heat rising in his chest. Think of the forge, he told himself. Think of the art, the stillness of the brush on the canvas. He reached the stairwell and began to climb, his boots silent on the metal. He needed the roof. He needed the air. As he ascended, he passed the open door of a forensic lab. Inside, a body was suspended from the ceiling by hooks. A Southern lawyer typeset, dressed in a three-piece suit, his mouth sawn into a wide permanent arc. A calling card was tucked into the man's pocket, a Joker card, but the face had been blacked out with Bruce's precise architectural handwriting. Everything is a lesson, the nomad thought. He's not just killing, he's lecturing. He reached the roof and kicked the door open. The Gotham air hit him, cold, wet, and smelling of burnt rubber. He sprinted toward the ledge, intending to grapple to the neighboring crane building, but he stopped dead. The smiling shadow was there. He wasn't on the GCPD roof. He was standing on the head of a massive crumbling gargoyle 3 blocks away, perched with a gargantuan, unnatural grace. Even from this distance, the nomad could see the glint of the dark metal visor, the spikes that allowed Bruce to see the darkness of the multiverse, to see the very fears of the people he looked at. The shadow didn't move to attack. He stood perfectly still, his long, tattered cape snapping in the gale like the wings of a dying crow. He looked less like a man and more like a manifestation of nihilism, a hole in the world where a hero used to be. Beside him, 2 more rabid robins sat on their haunches, their leashes held loosely in the shadow's gauntlet hand. He looked like a hunter, watching a deer enter a clearing, gauging its weight, its health, its will to live. The nomad felt a chill that had nothing to do with the rain. He realized the GCPD breach hadn't been an accident. The shadow had let him find the file. He had let him kill the hound in the basement. It was a test. You're watching me, aren't you? You're watching me, aren't you? The nomad shouted into the wind, his hand gripping the healing blade so hard the leather wrap groaned. Just like you said you would. The shadow leaned his head to the side, a bird-like movement that was deeply schizophrenic in its lack of human rhythm. He didn't speak, but the nomad felt a psychic weight pressed down on him, the absolute certainty that everything he did, every hope he harbored, was a joke whose punchline had already been delivered. Suddenly, the shadow let go of the leashes. The 2 hounds on the distant roof didn't hesitate. They didn't climb down, they jumped, clearing the massive gap with supernatural agility, their chains trailing behind them like iron serpents. They hit the side of the GCPD building and began to scramble up the brickwork with their steel-tipped fingers. The nomad looked back at the shadow. The master was gone, vanished into the fog as if he had never been there, leaving only the sound of the receding dry laughter. The nomad reached into his pocket, pulled out a card from the Armor of Christ deck. He flipped it over. The Belt of Truth. Since the hidden hand operates through secret lodges and backwoods networks, pardon me, class. Fresh off the press as they stick. The card was the Belt of Truth. Truth is, Nomad whispered, his skin beginning to take on a faint, dangerous hue as his adrenaline finally spiked. You should have killed me when I was still a boy, Bruce. He turned to face the ledge just as the first pale, grinning face crested the roof. This time, he didn't check his heart rate. He let the heat come. He drew the healing blade and felt the weight of every hero waiting on the other side, their eyes on him, the last man holding the line. The jingling grew deafening. The hunt was no longer a shadow play. It was a slaughter. To understand how the Nomad has gone from a victim into a true anti-hero capable of hunting a multiversal monster, his arsenal needs to move beyond standard vigilante gear, and it must be understood. These tools are designed to counter the nihilism and dark metaphysics of the Batman who laughs, while keeping the Nomad's banner-like rage in check. Here is a breakdown of the fine gadgets for the Nomad. Number 1, the Healing Blade. Vibratory Exciser. This isn't just a sword. It's a surgical instrument designed for a terminal world. The build. Forged from a mix of nth metal and high carbon steel, etched with microscopic geometric patterns that hum at a specific frequency. The function. It is designed to disrupt dark multiverse matter. When it strikes a shadow spiked visor or dark metal armor, it emits a harmonic chord that momentarily destabilizes reality around the target, making the ghost-like monster tangible and vulnerable. The symbolism. It represents the user's duty to keep the healing blade alive, an inheritance of protection rather than just destruction. Number 2, the Armor of Christ deck, Tactical Anchors. A deck of 52 themed cards that serve as both psychological anchors and deployable traps. The build, weighted polymer cards coated in a non-reflective matte finish. Matte? You know the stuff. Cards embedded with micro emitters that create a localized kinetic barrier when thrown in a specific sequence. The Belt of Truth, coated in a contact paralytic that forces the nervous system to reset, momentarily stopping the twitching, unpredictable movements of the rapid robins. The Ritual, the Nomad shuffles the deck during downtime to maintain focus, using the Bible verses as a partitioning technique to separate his investigative mind from his combat instincts. Number 3, the Banner Biomonitor, version 3.0, an advanced wrist-mounted unit that monitors blood pressure, adrenaline, and neurodivergent spikes. The build, integrated into the forearm of his suit, synced with a subdermal patch. The function, the partition protocol. If the Nomad's heart rate exceeds 160 BPM, the red zone, the monitor releases a microdose of a synthesized calm agent. The Scorpio Surge. Conversely, he can override the system to enter a controlled burn state, allowing his Scorpio rising intensity to heighten his reflexes while a HUD guides his breathing to prevent a total psychotic break. Number 4, the Lodge Sniffer, Frequency Scanner. Since the hidden hand operates through secret lodges and backwoods networks, the Nomad needs to see the invisible strings. The build, a modified version of detective vision, calibrated to pick up the specific low-frequency radio waves used by Masonic-style elite cults. The function, it highlights suspicious details in the environment, hidden doors, secret microphones, and the chemical trail of the Joker toxin. It helps them track the backwoods loggers and masons who thought they could control the shadow. Number 5, the white noise respirator. A heavy-duty, multi-layered mask that filters more than just air. The build: ceramic filters infused with activated charcoal and positive energy salts. The function: the mask features internal speakers that play a low-level white noise loop of mundane grounding sounds. Rain on a tin roof, a ticking clock. This protects the nomad's mind from the contagious laughter. A sonic frequency the shadow uses to fracture the psyche of his victims. Summary table: the nomad's loadout. The healing blade. Purpose: physical combat. Countermeasure: disrupts dark multiverse matter visions. Gadget: Armor of Christ cards. Purpose: area denial utility. Countermeasure: stops the rabid robins with precision. Biomonitor gadget. Purpose: emotional regulation. Countermeasure: prevents the banner rage from taking over. Gadget: lodge sniffer. Purpose: investigation. Countermeasure: uncovers the hidden hand conspiracies. Gadget: white noise mask. Purpose: psychological defense. Countermeasure: blocks the Joker toxin and laughter. Come back for chapter 3.